everybody, welcome back to Backstage Bimbo TV. Before today's episode, I would like to give a bit more of an explanation as to why I did this video. I actually did this video about 2-3 weeks ago, but for those of you who know what's going on in my life right now with Reels TV, you're going to understand more as to why I did this video now. And for those of you who aren't on my Facebook or on my Instagram, come on over and join me for starters, and subscribe. But I was emailed by someone, a really cool chick that I've met through the book, who informed me how cool, I was watching the Reels TV with their episode of Breaking the Band with Bon Jovi, which premiered a couple nights ago. Well, when they were talking about John and Dorothea getting married, they showed a scene of the band playing poker in Salt Lake City. And those of you who've read my book know what that means. They took my story, my life, and used it for their gain and to thicken a story that was pretty much otherwise boring because it is Bon Jovi. So anyway, yeah, they did that. And at first I thought, oh, how cool. Somebody's paying attention to me. But then I thought, wait a minute, motherfuckers. That's my material, and not one person even attempted to contact me to use my story or to ask me to use my story, which I have stated in a couple of videos at the very beginning. This material in my book is copyrighted. It is protected by intellectual property laws. And nobody has any permission outside of the normal sharing my video to show your friends. That's cool, because you're not doing that for financial gain or for any other type of gain. But if you are a producer, which you guys are watching me and just stealing my story, what fucktards? Thanks for watching, but no thanks for that. For those guys, my material is to never be used in any type of commercial material way for any type of financial gain at all, period. Like I said, I have said this several times in past videos, and I didn't think I had to say it again. Hell, I didn't think I had to say it at all, because producers are supposed to know the legalities of how they obtain and use material that they do not have any rights to. Like music. Metallica and Napster, anybody? Yeah. So really cool that people are watching me. That's awesome, but to be stealing my life story and the hard work, the heart and soul, everything I've gone through, the fucking tears, the destroyed life, the static, everything, the good times, the awesome people I get to meet here, everything I've been through, you just made a motherfucking mockery of. And you made a mockery of me as a woman and a human being. Like I'm just some peon novelty in the greatest death of rock and roll history, and not human enough to take 2 fucking minutes to compose an email or a comment down below saying, hey, Allison, could you get a hold of me? I really like this story and would like to use it in an episode. I would have said yes had you asked. But you gotta give me credit. You do have to pay me for my time, because this is my fucking living. And you don't get to make a financial gain off my story, even if it's just a snippet in your documentary or whatever that show is. You don't get to use it for your financial gain without me. It's like Amazon farms my book out to Walmart. Walmart only pays a wholesale price. But I still make motherfucking money, and so does Amazon. That's how it works. So really cool that these producers and stuff are watching me, but I want the right producers to be watching me. And this is one of the reasons that I made the following video. Simply because I'm always sold short. I'm never giving credit where credit is due because of certain entities that call me a liar and treat me like I'm not a woman or a human being that owned my sexuality and made a bigger party out of my life than they did. I am so tired of being repressed, skipped over, used, and just fuck you'd. So that's one of the reasons I made this following video, is to let people know what my story really is. And it really is a woman, a human being at the center of it. Me. Not the novelty and the greatest death in rock and roll history. Not the dumb whore that people think I am. No, not at all. Because Reels TV and you producers, better get your money together because you're going to be having to pay my lawyers because we are going legal. Just like Nikki Sixx and a few other rock stars are over the same show with you guys. Because I'm not the only one. So you guys boycott Reels TV. Boycott Breaking the Band. Don't watch this shit. None of it's authorized. It's pissing off even the musicians who are in it. And to top it off for me, those musicians only have to deal with one episode. There's 2 more episodes that I need to watch because Metallica and The Who. And you know The Who is going to be a tricky one because me being slandered is something I was not. And those producers obviously don't give a fuck about truth and human beings behind the story. But here I am. And you guys are going to find out what kind of human being I am. Ooh, sorry, I got cat hair. Ew. But so, again, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have to because I am shopping it. And cool. For the awesome producers, if you're from Hulu, watch it because this could be the next biggest thing. It's going to be better than Steve Jones' Pistol movie, which was going to be a great show to watch. I'm watching it, even though I already know the story because I know the man. But for the producers who are watching, obviously I'm catching some attention. Watch the video and find out why. And for everybody who supported me on this channel, thank you so much for all the love, all the support. For everybody who's actually watching, interacting, and really bringing attention and putting me in the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. All right, we'll see you in the video. Thanks, guys. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Backstage Bimbo TV. It's me again, Allison Rouse, your most notorious groupie, and author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie. Me. This is my book. Anyway, welcome back. Love everybody here. Thank you, as usual, so much for all the love and support. Especially because with today's topic, I'm going to kind of blow my own horn, which I really don't like to do. But for today's Rocky Talkie, I had been thinking, because Steve Jones wrote his book, which we all know wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but within a couple years, it's already on Hulu. So it got me thinking, you know what, if he can, so can I. But I just need to point out some stuff about my life and about my book. So today we're going to have a Toot My Horn Day here on my Rocky Talkie. And I'm going to have a little Avery Brewing. These guys are out of Boulder, Colorado. They have a whole Rascal line. This is their Belgian White. Yummy flavor, their wit beer. Really good. I was kind of not really digging the name White Rascal for a minute, but then I looked up everything from these guys, and they have a whole Rascal line, like Little Rascal, Island Rascal, and this is supposed to be a really good Belgian. So everybody grab your Belgians, kick up your feet, and this is how we pour a beer. Let's have a little bit of Rocky Talkie, shall we, folks? Cheers, big ears. Almost perfect head, but not everybody can, you know. All right, cheers, big ears. Oh, that's a good wit beer. Has a nice sweetness to it. I like that about Belgian beer. So good. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to kind of do something I know I do this channel and stuff, and I talk about my book, and I promote through this channel. And like I said, Steve's book going to Hulu so quick was amazing, and it's inspiring. But at the same time, all I think about is he's got one tiny little bit of rock and roll history that they bought so quick, that they are so fascinated with. And my book, I've got tons of rock and roll history from different bands, not just one band. And speaking of Steve, this is some of my merchandise. It says, I fucked Steve Jones and all I got was this t-shirt. Thank God. Me and my silly little humor. This is the shirt that started my whole line. So Link is down in the description for that, you guys, so go check them out. Thank you for everybody who supported me through there. But anyway, so, there's a lot of things I can tell in different videos, but it's really hard to put together all in different pieces. So I'm going to talk about how much rock and roll history is in my book. Because you be around rock and roll for 30 years, you're going to see some shit. And some shit I have seen and instigated, of course. Okay. So anyway, I want to kind of start off with Metallica with this because, like I've said this in a vlog before about where Metallica came from. Metallica worked their own way up to be the biggest band of our generation. Bigger than the Stones, bigger than U2, bigger than everybody. These guys are huge. I knew them when they were just starting out. And they did it their own way. They didn't have a lot of airplay on radios, which was essential at the time. They did not have MTV at all. They didn't even do a video until after they were headlining arenas at all. So they kind of made their own way, and I was there when they were coming up. No other groupie has Metallica stories like I do. I think as we've established. And, in reality, I have had some influence around them at some point. Absolutely. And like I said, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I am at the same time because I want my book to be signed to Hulu, actually, because I love the way Hulu does things. I don't know how to do this. So I just kind of came up to do this vlog to talk about all the shit I've seen. Not only am I part of the Who's history, I'm part of Las Vegas history. I'm part of rock and roll history because of John. Because of one night in my life when I had spent over a decade knowing somebody. We were sitting on the side of the stage when the kids were killed at AC/DC. Huge rock and roll moment. Knew when Metallica made their first video before anyone else did. Not only did they tell us, we watched it with them. I was there when Alice in Chains made their last album. I was in that studio listening to that album, sitting on the lap of that drummer from Pantera, Vincent Paul. So when you compare my experiences to other groupies that, I dated him, he was so sweet, he was so complex. Or, you look at the other groupie books, there's no real substantial rock and roll history in those books. None. And you look at my book, and people don't realize how much rock and roll history is in there. I talk about James Hetfield having a bleeding ulcer and that he is a bit of a hypochondriac. So he listened to his doctor and cut his drinking down. So that should be a big whoa moment for Metallica fans, because he did go to rehab. He did. Well, what happened between here and there? There is so much stuff people don't read in my book because, and I get it, people want to watch about the bands that they're interested in or they want to read about them. That's cool, but when you're trying to sell a book, it's just like a job interview. It's like making your CV. And I guess this is kind of my CV because you never know who is watching at all. And hopefully someone's watching that can take this to the next level because I've done this much like Metallica did on my own. I don't ask anybody for help. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, to be honest. I just come on here and talk, and honestly, it's been hard because it has crashed my book sales. It has not expanded the way I've wanted it to. So now I'm just trying to do something different and let people know, you want a really killer, short miniseries or series or movie on Hulu or in the theaters, there's nothing original coming out of Hollywood right now. Well, guess what? This is 30 fucking years of originality with nothing but the ability to expand because it's not just about my stories. Once you have the other girls who make up the whole character base of series or movie. You know, so you've got 3 different, 4 different, 5 different directions beyond my story to grow, and other aspects of seeing the same rock and roll historical moments and being around some of the biggest bands in the world during their rise and their fall. Like I said, I just posted about watching Pantera. And no other groupie has been with as many huge names in rock history. And whether I've slept with them or just hung out with them or just known them or whatever, you look at all the other groupie books, you got a couple years. Maybe this one guy from Led Zeppelin and a guy from Guns N' Roses. Few poses with Keith Moon. Girls getting on some local band short bus. You know, it just drives me crazy because people don't look beyond Hollywood. Like Steve Jones, his book became because people in Hollywood and all over the world listen to Jonesy's Jukebox. How convenient. Another Hollywood resident story. Maybe it's time to look beyond that, because really, the incredible fun was going on in Salt Lake City in the 80s. It was the groupie capital of the world. And I'm not kidding. Lars Ulrich said it was like a town of a bunch of rebellious preachers' daughters. Chris Holmes in the movie Decline of Western Civilization touted Salt Lake City as the best groupies in the world. Bands would take 3, 4 days off here. They always had days off here because they had girls that they would hang out with and loved being with and created bonds with and had a blast with. And not just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like we'd go up to Park City and do the Alpine Slide or have picnics or, you know, went skiing a couple times or played golf, or we did things here because they had days off. So we created a whole different bond rather than just going to the hotel, hanging out at the bar and having sex and sitting on the side of the stage. Oh no, there's more stories beyond all that. Beyond everything, because I don't even talk about what it's like to really go on the road for a groupie in my book. I've talked about it here though. And I think we've all established that it's not the most glamorous thing in the world. It's definitely not Almost Famous, because we know how much bullshit that movie is. And it's time to really rip open Pandora's box, so to speak, on a true awesome groupie story that has nowhere but up and out to go and grow in the most fabulous way and include other women in on the adventure. That's my goal. Not to exclude, but to include. Because as I've said in previous videos, it takes us all in the rock world to make it happen. To make the rock stars who they are, to put them on that stage, to take care of them afterwards, to stand in front and be crushed up against that railing as a fan. It takes all of us to make rock and roll what it is. Without all of us, it would be a broken machine, and it's not. So it's time to really step out of LA, folks, and see. Because like I said, with my book, and it's not just one era either. It is the 80s with hair metal and thrash metal and all kinds of music being invented, with rap coming along, and then the grunge era and living in the heart of grunge in Seattle twice while it was beginning and in its height, and being a part of that scene as well. You know, so no other groupie can say, oh, there's one from London. That girl was just in LA. You know, and I'm not one of those LA chicks that'll fake it till you make it, or fake it until you believe it yourself. Everything I do here is genuine and real. But like I said, I have different scenes. I have Salt Lake City, I have Denver, New York stories. And my stories, like I said, in New York went beyond rock and roll, because Michael Alec, who has had books and 2 movies made about him, and the club kids killing their drug dealer Angel, I was there in the thick of all that while it was happening, after they had killed Angel, but before anybody was arrested or bodies were found. So when you step back and you think my book is some just regular groupie boring book, that it's repetitive, don't blame me. Blame rock and roll, because rock and roll is repetitive. But it's my book, not really. Nope. I go from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to rock and roll history. I didn't come looking for this. It found me when I woke up one morning next to John, who had died. So, you know what, Hollywood, if anybody's actually out there listening, anybody has any friends, you need to show them this video because, like I said, Hollywood, they're just grasping what they have in front of them and nothing that's out there in the world. And they're trying to remake, Pretty in Pink and, beaches and all kinds of stuff. And it's not a success because what people don't realize is we're living in an era. And you cannot replicate the feeling and the camaraderie and what was happening in that era, the knowledge that was coming, the music and everything. This book has all that through different eras. I was around rappers, rockers, Neil Diamond types, country, everything. Because 30 years in rock and roll. And my friends have about 10 to 20. So there's never going to be a dull moment. So like I said, if anybody's listening, if producers out there, somebody, producer Michael, someone, you guys need to really look at my book and really watch and read between the lines of what's going on here and pick up the purchase option. That's all I want. I don't want the option where you put me on until you decide whether you want to buy it or not. No. This is a purchase option because in this book, there's a great story to be told. This is the basis of probably Hulu's next hit because Hulu's awesome the way they portray women in a more powerful mode where they have been downtrodden through history, like in Harlots, like in Handmaid's Tale, like, in Catherine the Great and stuff. The women always come out ahead and forward and in the winning. So that's why I want Hulu. But there you go, guys. There's kind of my, hey, Hollywood, check this shit out vlog because, yeah, like I said, there's tons of rock and roll history. And if you just look through my vlogs and kind of read my book, I ended my book in 2002. That doesn't mean my group of years ended. Not by a long time. I end them there because, well, what else is supposed to happen after 17 years of rock and roll in 2002 and John passes away and I wake up to international sex, drugs, rock and roll, scandalous infamy? It's all boring after that, isn't it? Not really, but you have to know when to stop on the pinnacle. And yes, I do still hang out. Yes, I do still have friends in rock and roll. Hung out last week. Still there. Still at the fucking hotel bar too, folks. So sorry if my book is repetitive. It's not about the hotel bar. It's not about the show. It's what's happening in between behind closed doors. Whether we're with a group of friends or we're alone. There's a lot to be seen in what people are not reading between the lines. But for those people who've been here, that get it, that listen, that read between the lines, thank you so much to all of you. Really, truly. Cheers, big ears. Because you guys have really made it possible for me to wake up and do this on the days where I want to give up. I want to stop doing this because I haven't reached the results I want after a year. Because we're coming up on a year. April 23rd will be a year, I think. I'll have to look at the date that I released my first video, but it's been a year. And there's days I want to give up, that I just think, what the fuck is so wrong with me and my channel that I'm not getting things out there, that I'm not accomplishing, that it's costing me to run this. When I want this to be my job full time. So thank you to everybody who has supported me and really listened and actually watched, because not all my subscribers are watching. It's a small fraction. So for those of you who are here every week, Melody, Karen, Tamra, Sue, everybody that I am forgetting, Death to Me, anybody who I am forgetting, Lucille, all of you guys, thank you so, so much. Your love and support means so much to me, and especially Melody, who did pass it on to someone who it could be interesting to. So thank you for all the love and support, guys. Don't forget my merch line is linked down below. Go check it out. Hit that share button. Hit the subscribe for those of you guys who are just haunting my channel. Let's do this because this will be a killer show. Sex in the City of Rock and Roll, basically. It can be way better. All right, guys. Again, subscribe, hit my bells, and we'll see you on Sunday for some cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears.